What's up guys, Josh here back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about MotionVFX's HUD 3D pack, which works with their tracker plugin. And without further ado, let's get into some of the sample footage.
All systems activated. MotionVFX HUD 3D review is loading. Please enjoy these sample clips while you wait. Typography, shapes, and drop zones are animated and can be placed within a 3D space using MotionVFX's 3D tracker. Special thanks to MotionVFX for sponsoring today's transmission, and a big shout out to Mike O'Hearn for helping me with these shots. Now back to your host, Josh Morgan.
Alright, so I'll have to tell you right now, that was probably one of the funnest clips of footage that I've ever edited, simply because I got to use a lot of cool plugins. Now, I not only use their mTracker 3D plugin and their HUD pack, but I also used their M Film Look pack, which I did a review on previously. So here we are within Final Cut Pro. These are all the clips that you just saw. This is all edited. This is how it looks like in a timeline, in a sequence. Don't worry if it looks too complicated. Most of these are just sound effects and some adjustment layers. But without further ado, let me show you what the raw footage looks like. So the first clip is with my friend Mike O'Hearn, just a simple gimbal shot in one of the downtown LA tunnels. Really simple shot, hasn't been graded. This was shot in S-Log 3. This is at 20% slow-mo. And our first step is to drag and drop the mTracker 3D plugin. Now the HUD pack that's 3D will not work without that mTracker 3D plugin, because this tracker plugin will scan the footage and make it turn into a 3D space for the HUD pack. So you just saw me drag and drop it. All we have to do is click on track, let it do its thing. Depending on the hardware of your computer, it may take slower or faster, and it also depends on the length of the clip too. Alright, so mTracker 3D has completely tracked the clip. Now all we have to do is find a cool HUD effect. Now for this specific clip, I'm doing a tilt, and if you notice, if we go back to this clip right here, you'll see that the text moves in a 3D space. So as I tilt up, you can see the text actually start to morph and change along with this. So that's what makes it really cool, and it works in that 3D space with tilts, pans, and so on. So I really love that. So all we're gonna do is just find a cool text. Maybe let's use this one here. Just drag it on top of the clip. And I do recommend tracking your clip in its raw format. So before you color grade, before you do any of that, track the clip. Or if you do color grade, just disable that in the adjustment layer and then track, because you'll get a much more accurate track with raw footage instead of edited footage. Alright, so all we have to do is just go back to the original clip right below it, hit copy track, then go to the HUD effect that you decided to use and click paste track. After that, you want to realign the length of the typography or HUD track to match the original clip below it. Otherwise, it just won't work properly. It has to be the same exact length. Alright, so now that we did that, you can already see the effect take place as I scrub through the footage. Now, obviously, this effect is really small. We need to adjust the placement of it too. I'm going to click on the effect. I'm going to hit this target button here. And if you notice, as I drag the mouse around the frame, you can see those little arrows marking the 3D space. You can see how they change. And if I click around, you'll see how it just places the text in different positions depending on where you place your mouse. Now, if you want the format of the text or the HUD pack to stay upright at all times, simply hit the Shift key and you'll see that it just stays up straight wherever you put it. And then you can just click right here, place it there. Then we can go to the effect parameters and adjust the scale. All right, once you're happy with that, you can use the content position and just drag these numbers or drag this up or down with your mouse, and it'll just move around. You can also change the rotation both in the X, Y, and Z space. For example, here we go in the X space, in the Y space, and now we can just play back the footage and you can see how good that looks. It's really as easy as that. And then all we're missing right now is just the M film look adjustment. All we have to do is just drag it right under the HUD pack. Now, if you drag it over, it's gonna apply that same look to that HUD effect, which might look cool in certain situations. Actually, here it really does look cool. But if you don't want that film look or any other sort of color correction or LUT effect to be applied, just simply drag it under, and then you'll see the color changes. So if you play it back, I mean, this looks really cool. All right, moving on to the next clip. This is a cool shot of Mike getting out of his car and just staring off into the distance. Man, he plays a good Terminator, doesn't he? But anyway, same process as before. We're gonna drag and drop the mTracker 3D plugin onto the clip and then hit track. Once tracked, we're gonna add the HUD effect. I'm gonna go for the radar. It's not gonna look like much, but once we mess around with the rotation and the position of it, it's gonna look really good. So I'm gonna trim it to match the same exact length of the clip that we're applying this effect to. I'm gonna paste the track. That's really important, otherwise it won't work. As you can see here, I didn't do something right, there was an error. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy the track one more time. All right, that's successful. Now I'm just gonna reposition it by clicking on the target icon, hitting the Shift key, just placing it in the center. As you can see here, it looks like it's flat. We can mess around with all of these effects in the 3D space. Never forget that by going into the content rotation parameters. We're gonna mess with the X-axis. Look at that, that's so sick. And then we're just gonna place it over his head by messing with the content position. All right, we're gonna move it over just a little bit. There we go, we're gonna adjust the scale. And that looks so good. And now we're just gonna play it back. The animations look like they're in a 3D space. It just looks like it's there in the shot. And with the proper grading, it's gonna look phenomenal. Now let's talk more about some of the other parameters, such as each layer. You can change the colors, you can change the glow and the glint, which is really cool. And one of my favorite things is that you can even adjust the reflection. So if we go back to this shot of this awesome husky here, this is one of Mike's dogs, you can see that I added a little bit of a reflection of the text. That's an option that we get with all of these HUD effects. So if you ever want to add a reflection, all you have to do is scroll down to the bottom here and you can enable the reflection. Here it won't really look like much, but for example, if you have a shot of a person looking into the mirror, this reflection effect will be perfect and looks way more realistic than having it turned off. And you can, of course, as I mentioned earlier, mess with the exposure of the glint, make it brighter, make it duller. You can also mess with the opacity of each layer here. So look how many layers that we have. Too many to cover in this video, but don't forget that you can mess with the opacity, you can enable them, you can turn each layer off, and this just gives you so many options to play around with. You can also disable the animation in and animation out. And that's about it. It's really that simple to use this HUD 3D pack within MotionVFX's library. So if you're interested, check them out down below in the description box. I'll put a link there. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you in another video. Peace.